Well, guys, I finally caved and decided to get myself a pie hole set up. You may be familiar with these already, and you might already even notice that there's plenty of other videos on YouTube about how to set up a pie hole. I'm not going to focus on just the setup part of a pie hole, but instead what I wanted to do today was just show you the hardware aspect in setting it all up and why I went with the pieces that I did, particularly the POE aspect of setting up the pie hole and the hardware I went with. I know there's lots of different options for obviously setting up a Pi hole. I decided to go with a Raspberry Pi Zero. So yeah, let's just jump right in. Just to be totally honest with you, I'm just going to show you kind of what I bought and why. Um, First off, obviously the Pi Zero itself. These do come in wireless variations for a little bit more. The regular version is $5 for at most places. The way you can get the Wi-Fi one for 10. I didn't really want to have my DNS server, which is the Pi hole, running over Wi-Fi, so I didn't see the point of getting the Wi-Fi version. So yeah, this is the one I went with. I went with adafruit.com. To be completely honest, the reason I went with them, even though most of them sell it for the same price of 5, their shipping was the best price. A lot of places were trying to charge me 10 or 15 just to ship this tiny thing. As I'm sure many of you know, this is like the size of a credit card. So Adafruit, though, all in all, the shipping was just over $4, and then plus sales tax, everything together at the end was just about $10. So $10 for the Raspberry Pi, and then shipping and tax. You can get a bunch of other of the little accessories from here as well. I chose not to go with that just because they didn't have quite the specific case that I was looking for. I wanted something a little bit more particular. So let me show you something again. The thing that's kind of the focus of the video was the POE aspect. This is the POE adapter that I went with. Something that's really cool about this from UCTRONICS is that it's a straight up adapter. There are a lot of options that's more of a POE splitter. Let me just jump over to show you kind of what typically there is available. These splitters where you have a POE going in, but then that just splits it out to be micro USB for the power, and then splits it to the Ethernet for your Ethernet. And so in those cases, you'd have to have this adapter plus a separate adapter. Let's see, kind of like one of these here. That's or actually like this one, a Ethernet to micro USB again. So you end up having two adapters. Going back to this one, this is a really cheap splitter, which is $8. That's like the cheapest one you can get, and then add that on top of an Ethernet adapter, which is another that looks like this one was about $13 because both of these together were 33. So having both things together for not only a cleaner look, but it's only 20, so it's not like you're paying that much more, if any more at all. So that was really cool. I decided to go with this. This is UCTRONICS. They're like the only ones I could see that even make something like this. So this was probably the most expensive piece of the whole build here, was this adapter. One thing here, hopefully you can see that. Let me just zoom in here. One thing I didn't realize when I bought this is that on a Pi Zero, the two USB ports are different. The one here on the far end does power only, whereas this one is a full USB port, the one that's further into the middle, so it does power and data. So I was hoping I could have this adapter only plug into one and still have a totally free regular USB port, but unfortunately that wasn't the case, because as I got on and noticed this one, and you can kind of see that there, hopefully you can see in the video, it says power in there, as opposed to this one says USB. So yeah, you do have to make sure you plug it into the one towards the middle, or else it's only going to provide power and not network. Because this one here is only for power. So that was one thing that was a little bit of a bummer. I was hoping I could have this one connection and still have a whole extra USB port for other things, like if I ever needed to plug in a keyboard or whatnot, I could, but that unfortunately wasn't the case. So yeah, this is kind of the main star of the show of this particular video. Again, the options otherwise would be the splitters, and then you have to get the separate Ethernet adapter. And then the case as well. This is the one I went with. I looked around quite a bit. I did want one that was a little bit more of an enclosure, as opposed to just a flat piece of plastic on the top and bottom. and then just that little slot is meant for the pinouts, but that wasn't too hard to just close up. And then also came with the very basic adapters I needed. A lot of these kits come with a power adapter. I obviously didn't need that because I'm doing PoE. So we got a micro USB to USB-A adapter, along with a mini HDMI to full HDMI, which was helpful for the initial setup of the Pi. It also comes with this little heatsink here. So this was a pretty good deal, just under $9. And then since I bought both of these together, the adapter and the case got the free shipping. So yeah, that's pretty much the hardware that I went with. This is essentially the full layout of all the hardware. Also, sorry, I didn't mention obviously the memory card you need. I just went with a little 16 gig one. Found that for a couple bucks as well. So this is the full layout, and this is a picture of the back of the adapter. I noticed that didn't show up on the Amazon listing. So here's all the specs. Here it is, putting out 2.4 amps through the micro USB, and it does have a gigabit connection for the network. Of course, it all depends on your specific PoE info, your PoE switch, exactly how much power it's putting out. But yeah, this is working great for mine with my particular setup. So let me just go ahead and show you now the adapter, how it works. So this is the adapter connected to my PoE cable. You can see it's getting the link light and activity as it's just checking for a connection, even though it's not connected to anything else. So it is getting the power over the PoE. It does have this extra micro USB port in here, but it's really just for compatibility, so you can use it in a range of things. If you don't have a PoE switch providing power over the Ethernet, you can instead just plug in a regular Ethernet and then plug power in via the micro USB here, and then this will act as a combiner to your single micro USB. But yeah, as long as you have the PoE Ethernet hooked in, you don't need to worry about plugging anything into there. And so this is what I'm using to connect to the Raspberry Pi, which will give it the Ethernet and also power. All right, so this is what I ended up with. I just have these attached together. The Raspberry Pi is just hooked onto the top of the adapter, and then just that cord just goes right into that USB port on the side. So once I just get this mounted wherever I decide to stick it, I might just leave it on my desk for now, but all I'll need to do is plug in that single cord, the Ethernet cord, and that'll get it up and running. And well, there you have it, guys. Here's just a quick picture of how it looks. Really clean. That's what I was going for. A really simple install. Right now, I just have this whole thing just mounted to the back of my monitor, which works out great. So yeah, I really like how clean it ended up looking. It's just the adapter sitting right on top, right below the Pi itself, and then just I have on the back of my monitor the PoE Ethernet cord going right into the adapter, and working great. I already mentioned I'm not really going to go much into the whole Pi hole setup since there's already so many other guides on there, but just to really quick recap on that. It's really simple. All you really need to do once you get your Pi set up, you will need to log in and on the Pi itself and turn SSH on. So this is a quick picture I took of how that happens. Once you get the Pi booted up to Raspbian, you just go to Preferences and to the Configuration, and then on the Interfaces tab, there's the option for SSH. You just want to get that enabled. Once you do that, then from any other machine, you can just SSH into the device. Because obviously doing this requires you to plug the monitor in, and then obviously some type of input like a mouse is what I did. And that's, like I mentioned, with the limited number of USB ports, can be a little bit annoying. So once I did that, I unplugged everything, then plugged in the adapter with the PoE, because once I had all this SSH info saved, then I rebooted it with the PoE setup. And from there, I was able to just SSH in. And then from there, the instructions are pretty simple. On the Pi-hole.net website, you just go to the install Pi-hole, and it gives you this really easy command to run. Once you SSH into your Pi, you just run this command, and from there, it walks you through. It's pretty simple. Sets it up, and then it sets up like a web portal that you can access your Pi from, and everything works really simply from there. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully this is helpful for you. Again, really was happy with that adapter I found. I hope it's helpful for you guys. Really like the clean install. Give the video a like if it was helpful, if you liked it, and share it with anyone else you think would benefit from that. Really happy with that adapter I found. I'll post the links for all these in the video description. But thanks for watching. Have a good one.